You know, I never dreamed that I was going to run for Congress. When I got off active duty in 1997, I was going to go fly for the airlines. And came back to Northeast Ohio and settled here, and was flying missions and decided to come back. And my former boss, Greg DiDonato, who was a state senator just south of here in Tuscarawas County, asked me to put my name on the ballot, and I ended up winning by 72 votes. In the closest primary in 2000 by 72 votes. So whomever of you do not think that your voice counts, I can tell you 72 examples of how your vote can make a difference in this election. And this election is garnering a lot of national attention. But at the end of the day, my friends, this race for Congress is not about me. It's not about Kirk Schering. It's not about the national parties that want to claim this ground. It's about all of you. It's about this community. It's about our state, our region, and certainly the direction that our country is heading. And I know we're joined today by both Democrats and Republicans alike. And that to me is a fitting message. It's a very fitting message because now more than ever, our country needs leaders in Washington who are going to stand up and fight against the special interests and take your interests to Washington. And the answers, my friends, are not in D.C., they're not in Columbus, they're right here in backyards like this. Because this is where people can make a difference by standing up together, by working together, giving ideas, and holding their elected officials accountable. And I want to be a congressman who wakes up every day and understands the economic issues that are affecting our region here. And you know, just in this June, just a month ago, the last remaining employees from Hoover received their paychecks from a company that packed up and moved overseas. And you don't have to work at Hoover, Rubbermaid, Republic Steel, Abbott Labs. You don't have to work in some of these factories to know that our part of Ohio, and Ohio in general, has suffered disproportionately to the rest of the country. And it's time that we stand up and demand a congressman who's going to put America first. We're going to renegotiate our trade agreements. We're going to make sure that we stem the loss of jobs from our community here. And you know, in Stark County alone, in the congressional district as a whole, we have seen unemployment double, we've seen the cost of a college education double, we've seen gas prices double, and we've seen health insurance costs double. And while we do this, and while we see this, our leaders in Washington are seeing how we can spend more money in endeavors overseas. Now, my friends, I served 4 rotations flying troops in and out of Baghdad. Whether we agree with this war or not, we have to agree that the young men and women who are serving, wearing a uniform for our country, are serving our nation honorably, and they're there only because our country asked them to go. And we have got to do everything we can to stand up and fight for them and make sure that they have the equipment to prosecute, come home safely, and go back to their families like I was able and fortunate to do. But not only in terms of the human loss of life, 4,000 lives lost, 30,000 injured, but the economic cost this war is costing America and ordinary men and women like yourselves who are working and trying to punch a time clock and going to work every day and making a difference in their communities is unfathomable. We're spending $4,000 a second in Iraq. We're spending $12 billion a month in Iraq. 1 out of every $100 in the last 5 years in the U.S. economy has gone to Iraq. We're building brand new roads and bridges and schools over in this country that should be the wealthiest in the world, based upon the fact they have 500 billion barrels of oil underneath it. And you know, in 2004, our Secretary of Health and Human Services, Tommy Thompson, went to Iraq and brought one of many billion-dollar checks to make sure that every man, woman, and child in Iraq had universal health coverage. And my friends, some of you may not even have health care insurance. And isn't it a huge disconnect that Washington is allowing this to happen, that we're giving our tax dollars, our hard-earned money, the money that we send to D.C., we're sending it to Iraq so that every man, woman, and child in Iraq has health care insurance. While our costs double, our government is funding them to have health care insurance for everyone. And then the President vetoes S-CHIP, State Children's Health Insurance Program, that would ensure that every American child had access to health care. A meager $50 billion over 5 years when we're spending $4,000 a minute in Iraq. There seems to be a huge disconnect. The median income in Stark County alone is below the state average and below the national average. We have seen too many jobs leave our communities. the first thing we need to do when we go to Washington is renegotiate these trade agreements that seem to be more weighted towards big corporate America and the corporate institutions that have shipped our jobs overseas. And you know, it was a great Republican, Harry, Teddy Roosevelt, who said that we all either rise or fall together. And you know, the welfare of each of us is so interconnected and dependent upon the welfare of all of us. And we have got to make sure that we're looking out for every American. Every American job should be protected, and every American worker should be protected, and every decision in Washington should be about America. But we've seen too many of those days go by us. And if there's ever a place in Washington, if there's ever a place in America, if there's ever a place in Ohio that is so deserving of change, it is in this congressional district that has been represented by one political party for the last 50 years. And we know that this isn't about political parties. This isn't about dividing America. This isn't about saying red states, blue states, conservatives, liberals, Democrats, Republicans. This is about America standing up and speaking with one voice, with one cause, and with one purpose, so that we can fight, bring jobs to our communities, fight to bring home our troops safely, honorably, and soon. And you can elect, for the first time in a long, long time, a congressman who's going to go to Washington every day, and make it my job to fight for your job. That's the kind of congressman that I want to be. A congressman who goes to work every day and makes it my job to fight for your job. Tonight we're going to hear from several individuals who are going to talk about some of the economic conditions here in this community. And we're going to talk about some of the things that we can do as a discussion of how we can move our country forward, move our state and our economy forward. And it all starts with backyard discussions like this. Because again, and I repeat, my friends, the answers to our nation's problems are not in D.C. They're right here in backyards like this in Kim Perez's house. So I want to thank you for coming out tonight. I would find it a great honor to serve you in Washington, D.C. and